Hi, boys and girls. This is our very last video Sunday school class together because pretty soon we're going to start doing children's church and we're going to start doing it at the church. So we are really excited about that. But we do have one lesson that we have to do still. I don't really know. Again, we're waiting for Mr. Mark. I don't know where he went. So we're just going to sit and wait for just a second. Hold on. Somebody's coming. Hold on. Wait, who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
I'm me.
No, wait a minute. I think you better get out of our house because you are a stranger in my house and you need to leave.
We've been married 42 years.
I have not been married to you
Mark,
for 40.
look at me. Can't you tell look at me.
No, this is not, something's different. I don't recognize you at all.
Why would you say that?
Oh, wait. It's Mr. Mark, guys. Look at that.
What, the glasses?
Yeah.
That's what
you
did
wear
it?
glasses, right?
I do wear glasses.
And you've worn them ever since I've known you.
True.
And all the times we've been married.
But still, glasses off.
No.
Glasses on.
Okay, did you guys recognize him from without glasses? Because I have no idea. And so I'm sorry, honey. Okay, now he's disappeared. I don't know where he went. He is no longer here. First he was here without glasses. That was weird. Then he put his glasses on and we suddenly could recognize him. And now he's disappeared. Mr. Mark. Oh, he's back and he's with glasses. Excellent. Well, now that we all know that, actually, our story is kind of like that today. The story in the Jesus Storybook Bible sort of starts in the middle of a story, and they don't have the first part of the story in the Jesus Storybook Bible. So Mr. Mark, with his glasses on, is going to read the first part of the story out of this other Jesus Storybook Bible thing that we have that's called It's All About Jesus. And he's going to read a story called Emmaus Disciples. So I'm going to let him read that to you with his glasses on. Okay.
Here we go. On the day that Jesus rose from the dead, two of Jesus' disciples were walking to a village called Emmaus. The two disciples were talking about everything that had happened. As they talked, Jesus came and began to walk with them. But the disciples did not recognize him. Jesus asked the disciples, "What are you talking about?" The disciples stopped walking. They looked sad. One of the disciples, Cleopas, answered, "Are you the only one in Jerusalem who hasn't heard what happened?" "What happened?" Jesus asked. So they told him, Jesus of Nazareth was a prophet. He was powerful when he acted and spoke before God and all the people. The religious leaders handed Jesus over to be sentenced to death, and they nailed him to a cross. We had hoped he was the one who would set Israel free. It's the third day since these things happened. Early this morning, some women went to the tomb and did not find Jesus' body. They saw angels who said that Jesus is alive. Some of our friends went to the tomb, and they too saw that the tomb was empty. I'll show you a picture. Here's Jesus walking along with these two disciples on the road to Emmaus. Jesus said to them, "You are foolish not to believe what the prophets said. Isn't this what had to happen to the Messiah?" Then, beginning with Moses and the prophets, Jesus explained to them what all the scriptures said about him. Jesus and the two disciples arrived at Emmaus, and they asked Jesus to stay with them. So Jesus joined them at the dinner table. He took the bread, thanked God for it, and broke it into pieces. Then he gave the pieces to the disciples. Right away, the men recognized Jesus, but Jesus immediately disappeared from their sight. The two disciples thought about their walk to Emmaus. They said, "When Jesus talked to us on the road and explained the scriptures, didn't our hearts feel like they were on fire?" The disciples immediately left Emmaus and went back to Jerusalem. They found Jesus' 11 disciples and others who gathered with them. They told them what happened. The 11 had news for them too. Jesus had appeared to Simon Peter. Jesus is alive.
Well, that was a lot like our little introduction with Mr. Mark not wearing his glasses. Was it because Jesus wasn't wearing his glasses when they walked to Emmaus?
I don't know. There's some reason they couldn't recognize him.
Well, I think it was because the scriptures tell us that the disciples didn't really understand that Jesus was going to die and rise again. And they had never known anybody before that had been able to come back alive after they died. Now, Jesus did raise Lazarus from the dead, but nobody had raised themselves from the dead, or they had power just from God to raise him from the dead. And so this was something new to them. And so they didn't recognize him until he decided to break bread and drink the cup with them. And all of a sudden, God opened their eyes. And so that's where our story kind of starts. And the reason that it's a really, really important story is because Jesus is going back and he's explaining the Old Testament to the disciples. Now I'm going to give Mr. Mark the phone for a second so that he can use it to show you this book that we made. It's just like a little Holy Bible thing. Well, it's kind of big actually. To kind of show you exactly what the Holy Bible is all about. So I'm going to open this up. And we know that the Holy Bible is in two parts. One is the Old Testament, as you can see here, and one is the New Testament. And there's this right down the center, there's this red ribbon, and we have some Bibles that have red bookmarks or red ribbons in them that is kind of symbolic of Jesus shedding his blood on the cross. And what we know is that some people think that the New Testament is where Jesus came into the Bible. But really, Jesus, starting in creation, was all the way through the Old Testament and all the way through the New Testament. And the Old Testament sort of looks back on Jesus and the symbols and the things that we've talked about in Children's Church before, so that the people of Israel could look forward to the Messiah. And then we hit the New Testament where Jesus is born as a baby, as a human and God, fully human, fully God. And he is born and then he grows up, and in the Gospels we see his ministry on earth as well as his death and resurrection. And then the rest of the New Testament sort of looks back on Jesus. And the Revelation, the very last book, which we're going to talk about in a minute, looks forward to the time when Jesus comes again. So our story started in the New Testament on the road to Emmaus, right after Jesus had risen from the grave. But then he explained on the road to Emmaus, he explained all these Old Testament stories because they were super, super important on how they pointed to Jesus. And when we get back to Children's Church, we'll talk some more again about how those things pointed to Christ. We've talked about how the high priest pointed to Christ, how the things in the tabernacle pointed to Christ, all of these things, and we will continue that and then show how it was fulfilled in the New Testament. So now, Mr. Mark, I'm going to shut this so it stands up easier. And I'm going to take this and put it back on you so that you can pick up where the story is in the Jesus Storybook Bible. And if you're following along at home, it's called Going Home, and it's on page 318. So Mr. Mark is going to read Going Home, and there's the picture. And this was right after the road to Emmaus. Okay?
Jesus' friends were afraid, so they were hiding in an upstairs room with the door bolted shut. But that didn't stop Jesus. He just walked straight through the wall. "It's a ghost!" Thomas screamed and hid under the table. but it wasn't a ghost. "I'm hungry," Jesus said. "What's for lunch?" Peter gave him a fish. They all hung back and watched him eat it. "This can't be," they were telling themselves. "It's impossible. It's not happening." But it was, right in front of them. "Delicious." Jesus wiped his mouth with the back of his hand and grinned. "Can a ghost do that?" he winked. And then they all laughed. "I'm really here," Jesus said. And he really was. Peter's heart leaped with joy, and he fell into Jesus' arms, hugging and kissing him. The others followed. They felt their hearts would burst from the happiness. The friends ate together and chatted happily, and every now and then they just gaze at Jesus and have to touch him to be sure they weren't dreaming. Jesus had a real body, but this body was better. It had come through death and couldn't get sick or be killed ever again. This body would live forever. Jesus had come back with a brand new body. Not only were sad things coming untrue, the friends realized, they were becoming new again. Was God going to make everything new? Jesus said, "I am the Savior and the rescuer of the world." And they knew, because he couldn't stay dead, because Jesus had come alive again, that somehow everything would be all right. A few days later, as they walked together, Jesus told his friends, "It's time for me to go home to my Father." They all looked worried, and then they remembered what Jesus had told them before he died. "There's a place for you. I'll get it ready," Jesus had said. "You know the way." Thomas had panicked. "I don't know the way to get there." "Yes, you do," Jesus had said. "I'm the way and the truth and the life." When at last they reached the top of the highest hill near Jerusalem, Jesus turned to them and said, "Go everywhere and tell everyone the happy news. Tell them I love them so much that I died for them. It's the truth that overcomes the terrible lie. God loves his children. Yes, he really does." Suddenly, the whole sky was filled with a dazzling light. "Now everyone can come home to God," Jesus said. "Death is not the end of you. You can live forever with your Father in heaven because I have rescued the whole world." And something amazing happened. Jesus rose up into the bright air, higher and higher. They shaded their eyes and watched him go until a cloud hid Jesus so they couldn't see him anymore. They stood looking up into the sky like that for a long, long time. Suddenly, two shining men appeared. "What are you doing?" they asked. "Jesus has gone up to heaven, but one day he will come back, in the same way you saw him leave, from heaven and from the sky." Jesus' friends went back to Jerusalem with a strange gladness inside their hearts, and something Jesus said that stuck in their minds. "Even though you won't be able to see me anymore, I will never leave you. No, not ever. I will be with you, yes, always and forever." How can Jesus be with us and leave us at the same time, they wondered. They didn't understand. No, but soon they would.
And that's the end of our lesson for today, and our lessons for a long time that we don't have to do on video anymore. And we hope to see you in Children's Church really, really soon. Bye, guys. Have a great week.
Bye. Take care.